Welcome back to Casual Sports Takes. This is my Week 5 power rankings. Kicking us off with number 10, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are currently 3-1, coming off a big-time division win, 26-9 over the Saints. Mike Evans did end up having to leave the game early on due to injury, but luckily it was just a mild hamstring, and he should be able to return post-bye. As for Baker Mayfield, boy, he is baking. He is cooking. He went for 25-32, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And this team was looking really solid, minus their game against Philadelphia, where even then they showed signs of playing like a really good team. Mike Evans had an insane one-handed catch. And on the defensive side of the ball, D. Delaney had a really, really nice interception on Jalen Hurts. Just an absolute hustle play. It was really nice to see. I think right now they should be everyone's favorite to win the NFC South. Coming in at number 9, we have the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks just beat the brakes off the Giants on Monday Night Football. This is the 3rd time this year the Giants have been embarrassed on primetime, and we're only 4 weeks in. The Seahawks got 11 sacks on Daniel Jones. This team has been on a roll lately. They're on a 3-game win streak over the Lions, Panthers, and Giants. And I would say this week, since they're on a bye, they're probably going to be the favorites to beat the Bengals. And this defense looked just amazing on Monday. They had 4 different players with multiple sacks, and Witherspoon was just playing like an absolute defensive rookie of the year level player. If he can keep doing stuff like that, if that defense can keep showing up and the offense can get the ball on the field, this team is going to be very exciting to watch. Coming in at number 8, we have the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens just did a demolition job on the Browns. On the road, division rival, beating them 28-3. The Ravens are honestly looking like a top 3 team in the AFC right now, and maybe the only good team in the AFC North. Every other team in their division got blown out last week besides them. Lamar looks like he's finally settling down into the pass-first offense, and he struck a good balance. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. I think when this team gets fully healthy, they get some running backs back, they get Odell back maybe. They're going to be very, very dangerous. They already are, but yeah, once they get more healthy, look out for these guys. Coming in at number 7, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, reigning Super Bowl champions. Although they did end up beating the Jets on Monday Night Football, I had to move them down quite a bit considering they were in an absolute dogfight with a bottom 5 team in the league, and they allowed Zach Wilson to have maybe the best game of his career. While on the other side of the ball, Mahomes probably had a top 5 worst game of his career. They're 3-1, but it's been an absolute shaky, sloppy start to kick things off this year. Of the 3 games they've won, they've looked sloppy against the Jets and the Jags. The only time they've really looked like the old Chiefs, who have went to 5 back-to-back AFC Championship games, was against the Bears, who were probably the worst team in the league. Only thing I can say about this is it's better to learn from bad wins than from a loss. So hopefully they figure it out soon, because their next 3 games are division rivals. It goes Broncos, Chargers, Broncos again. And last year, all of those games against those division rivals were close for them, within 3 points. And coming in at number 6, we actually have the Detroit Lions, who ended up beating the Chiefs on the first game of the season. I guess you could call them the kings of the NFC North now. The Lions just took care of business against division rival Green Bay Packers, made it look pretty dang easy too on Thursday Night Football, just a week before they beat the Falcons 20-6. The only loss they've had this year is against the Seahawks in overtime, where they didn't even get the ball back, didn't get a chance to touch it. And taking that all into account, I don't think it's too early to say that they're going to start the season 4-1. Considering they play the Panthers next. And this is just a massive step up from last year, where they started out 1-7 versus now potentially looking at 4-1, but obviously right now 3-1. Coming in at number 5, we have the Dallas Cowboys. They had quite the comeback game this week versus the Patriots after that big upset loss against the Arizona Cardinals last week. They actually ended up beating the Patriots 38-3, handing Bill Belichick in his 30-year career of coaching his biggest loss ever. The defense and special teams continue making life easy for the offense. It's only the 3rd win of the year, but it's also their 3rd blowout of the year. All of their wins this year have been blowouts. They've let up the least amount of points in the league. As long as the defense continues to dominate like this, they'll, continue to have a pretty successful year. The only thing is their red zone's not really clicking in offense, but, they looked a little bit better last week versus the Patriots. They had 1 red zone touchdown. Dak actually threw right outside the 20-yard line, a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb. Didn't end up counting for red zone, obviously. It was right outside the marker. But they don't have a lot of time to figure out that red zone offense, because they play the 49ers, the 4-0 49ers on a Sunday Night Football, who haven't had any trouble scoring touchdowns this year. So it's going to be very interesting to see both those teams face off and potentially game of the year. Coming in at number 4, we have the Miami Dolphins. Jumping down big from number 1 last week after absolutely dismantling the Broncos 70-20. The Dolphins lost to the Bills, division rival, on the road 48-20. Josh Allen's only lost to Tua 1 time, and he's not looking to give up ownership of that team anytime soon, apparently. Tua said there were some people that needed to be humbled. I'm not really sure if he was referring to the fans, if he was referring to people in their own locker room, but hopefully this loss made them realize the defense needs to be able to step up when the offense doesn't produce 70 freaking points a game. I'm not worried about this team at all. They're not fraudulent. They're a really great team. I just think the defense needs to step it up a little bit, and the offense obviously had a down game. Whereas you can look at the Cowboys game and say the same thing. Their defense had a down game, and their offense didn't step up. This is almost the exact opposite of that. But I have faith in them moving forward. They will bounce back. And coming in at number 3, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are starting the year off with a 4-0 record, but it's honestly not looking like the strongest 4-0 we've ever seen. I get it, a win is a win, but they looked a lot better last year, and things just aren't clicking as good as they should right off the bat, which should honestly be concerning for the rest of the league. Because once they do start clicking, like they did last year, if they're already 4-0, well, I don't know who's going to beat them if they start playing as good as they should. Whatever they're having trouble with, though, offensively, defensively, whatever it is, they really need to figure it out, because there's a stretch down the road in their season where they play, I'm not sure the exact order, but they play the Chiefs, Cowboys, Bills, Dolphins, and Niners. And I'm pretty sure all of those games are back to back to back to back to back. So they got to figure it out fast, because a win is a win. But if they're playing like this when they face those better teams, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to squeak out a victory like they have been. And coming in at number 2, we have the Buffalo Bills. We touched on it earlier when the Bills smacked the cheese out of the Dolphins in their week 4 meeting. And since I had the Dolphins at number 1 last week, I thought it was only fair to bump the Bills up to number 2. They've been on an absolute tear lately, minus the sloppy Jets game where they ended up losing, Josh Allen throwing 3 interceptions, fumbling the ball one time. They've looked definitely like the best team in the league. They ended up beating the Raiders 30-10, Commanders 37-3, and now the Dolphins 48-20, which is considered one of the better teams in the league right now. I honestly think if the Bills were to play any team tomorrow, at least in the AFC, I'm not going to say the whole NFL, but at least in the AFC, that's taken into consideration, the Chiefs, the Ravens, all these teams, I think they would win pretty easily. Now, all they have to do is continue playing like this for the rest of the year, and they could honestly secure the 1 seed. And coming in at number 1, none other than the San Francisco 49ers. They're the team to beat in the league right now, with potentially the MVP frontrunner in Christian McCaffrey and the most complete team in football. This is definitely the team to beat. And say what you will about Brock Purdy and his ability to throw the ball, but he keeps the ball safe, which is the most important thing for a quarterback to do. And he was 20 for 21 last week with 283 yards, 1 touchdown. And like I said, all he had to do was keep the ball safe. With that being said, it's only week 5. And their toughest test of the year is here, Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. I cannot wait for the Sunday Night Football matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be an absolute blast. We're going to really find out who runs the NFC minus the Eagles, obviously. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you would have ranked differently and who you had in your top 10 that I didn't have. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video, which will be Week 5 NFL predictions.